Good morning. This is March the 26th, Wednesday, 2024, and we are in BBIS second semester compulsory English class, where last time we were reading the story from the novel Shoe Dog. Now, in this class today, I want to talk about the elements of fiction. Just a minute, let me open the page. Okay. Here we have this chapter. I will try to relate these things with the lessons. If you have read these stories, you will understand it easily. But if you have not read the stories, it may be a bit difficult for you to understand the things. Okay. So first, these are the elements of fiction. What makes a fiction? If you understand these things better, you will be able to understand the text and analyze it more effectively. As I explain, this is in your file. You don't need to write everything, but while I'm explaining, you can make points from my explanation. So there are 5 elements that we'll talk about. First is plot. In a story, there are people, right? And these people do something. Let me first tie my shikha. I seem to have forgotten to tie my shikha. Just a second. Okay. So they do something. They do activities. So these activities show what action they are performing. So you will see that in a story, there is dominance of verbs, action verbs. A story has a lot of action verbs, right? For example, let me show an example. Okay. Here is a file that I prepared yesterday. I made these notes yesterday. And this is based on the first chapter, Dawn. There are 10 pages, and the second chapter has 30 pages. The second chapter, 1962, is longer. The first is Dawn. So look what I do. What I have done, I would read one paragraph. I have numbered the paragraphs. And I would ask myself, who is doing what in this paragraph? For example, oh, you came in. I didn't know that the door is open. You were not supposed to come in. Okay. For example, in the first paragraph, the protagonist, the hero, the narrator, wakes up and quietly slips out. So as a reader, what I am doing, I am recording the actions. I am recording the actions if you see carefully. I chose the verb and noted down. So plot means summarizing the actions. So your focus should be on the verbs, action verbs. Who is doing what? I didn't write the narrator wakes up because I understand. Wakes up before others and quietly goes out for running. This go is not there in the book, but I just wrote it. Now, I write 2 hyphens in word processing. If you enter 2 hyphens, and if you write a text, that becomes, I don't know, M dash. This is called M dash. M dash is a dash made of 2 hyphens. If you write 2 hyphens, the word makes it a dash, M dash. So I use this M dash to separate points I'm making. It's my way, right? So this sentence, this one, summarizes paragraph 1. So if there are 50 paragraphs in the 10 pages, you will see 50 points here, 50 sentences. And this is not easy, because to summarize a paragraph with 1 word or 1 phrase or 1 sentence, you have to read it 2-3 times. And you have to understand it clearly. You have to understand what is the central point in this paragraph. Then only you can summarize. Otherwise, you can't summarize. In my experience, students, many times, they do not know what to summarize from a paragraph. They do not know that you are supposed to summarize the idea, not the detail. I remember last semester, I must have talked a lot about ideas and details last semester, right? So you are supposed to summarize the idea. So the idea is that he wakes up and goes out. Other things are not important. This is the action happening in the story. Then feels hard to get started. Now this feel is not in the story. I added. He simply says it's hard to get started. Now as a reader, I understand this is a feeling. This is a feeling. The hero has this feeling that it is hard to get started. So I chose this verb. It is not in the book. Feels, thinks, appreciates is better. He says at second paragraph or third paragraph, I don't know, maybe fourth, 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth paragraph. He praises his teacher. The verb appreciate is not in the story. No, it's not there. I know that this is appreciation. And then I write, appreciates the teacher, thinks. You will see that this section, first section, dawn, has a lot of thinking verbs. Look here, a lot of thinking verbs. Think, feel, remember, feel, thought, want, thought, remember, think, remember, think, thought, believe. So do you see, if you are clever reader, you will understand that these verbs, they are showing mental activity. Mental activity. He is running. While running, he is thinking these things. So dawn is mostly about the narrator's mind, whereas 1962 is mostly about narrator's activities. In the second chapter, 1962, the chapter opens when he goes to his father. There's a dialogue. He reveals his father about his plan. Then there is a long story about how he goes to Honolulu and then other countries, then Japan. It is full of actions. outside actions, physical actions. But the first section, dawn, is more about mental actions, right? So the plot is more about the mind of the narrator. And I am showing you how do I understand the plot. And I said that I understand the plot because I am focusing on the verbs in the story. And I told you there are many verbs which are not in the story. For example, you won't find the word feel in the story. He never says I feel. No. He never says I feel. He never says I think. But as a reader, I know this is thinking, this is feeling, and I note down. This requires a skill, right? I can do this because I have been teaching for a long time. Now, come back to the story. So, plot. How the author arranges events to develop the basic idea, right? What happens first, what happens next? Sequence of events. As you can see in this sequence of events, see here, sequence of events. First he does this, sequence 1, then sequence 2, 3, 4, 5, sequences. How events have been arranged. This is plot. Now, what are the essential parts of the plot? Let's see here. Plot is a very broad term. There is something called exposition, beginning of the story, right? So, as you can go back here, you see the exposition here. It's early morning, it's Portland, Oregon, it's dawn before birds wake up, before people wake up. It's maybe dark or maybe semi-dark, right? Exposition. Exposition is background. So you have beginning, right? How the story begins. So a story begins with the chapter dawn. And the beginning is more about the mind. Why? Why does Phil Knight focus on the mind? Why? Understand that in the same chapter dawn, later on, he comes about the crazy idea. Crazy idea. And this idea is in his mind for a long time. He says, I never forgot the idea which I wrote in my term paper in the college, right? Ideas are where? They are in the mind. That's why the story begins by focusing on the mind, right? So you have characters. In Dawn, you don't see much characters. You see the narrator, and then he talks about his teacher. He talks about his teacher, right? And not he talks about his family members in the second chapter. Okay, background. Now you know in exposition that this is story taking place in Portland. Where is Portland? It is in Oregon, America, right? Setting. You know this is dawn. You know the month also, I get December or November, I forgot, right? Early morning. You know the place. You know the place, Portland. You know the time, early morning. And you know the environment, the atmosphere. The atmosphere. At one point, if you say, he says, I'm all alone. He says, I'm all alone. And he's running. And atmosphere is, outside it's calm, quiet. But inside, he is not calm and quiet. That crazy idea is not letting him stay with peace. He is full of unrest. He is full of, what do you call, like boiling. He is boiling because that idea, crazy idea is chasing him all the time. So atmosphere is outside is calm and quiet. Inside his mind is not calm and quiet. It's full of turmoil. It's full of agitation. Is full of excitement. What shall I do now? I have finished my MBA. What to do next? Then rising action. Understand that actions may take place in two ways. One, actions may take place in the outside world. Outside world. I'm coming and something happens to me. Outside world. Actions. Second, actions also may take place inside a character's mind. Now, why I'm telling this thing? I'm explaining you the concept of rising action and the concept of conflict. Conflict is when two things cannot go together. When something, these days you people have more mental conflict, less physical. You are not fighting to anybody, you are fighting to yourself. You use mobile phone, you are on the social media so much, you watch so many things, somebody sends you a message, you read the message, you may be in love affair, you write messages, you receive messages, and then all those messages are disturbing you. So the action is in your mind, less outside, right? And the conflict grows in your mind. For example, in this story, the rising action begins where? Let me show you. The rising action begins, he leaves home. Let me use blue ink for that. He leaves home in a very normal way. And while he is running and he's thinking a lot. At one point, let me show you in the summary, I guess I have. At one point, have I noted down? Let me see. Yes. See, where does the action rise? Here is the point. Toward the end of first chapter, look here. Remembers how that morning in 1962, he told himself not to stop and keep going with his crazy idea. Read here. Thinks that what remains with him at 24 is crazy idea. Go back. Thought he would make his crazy idea work at any cost. Saw his crazy idea sign look like a place. Go a bit earlier. Wanted to enjoy working so much that it becomes like a play. Thought he should find his dream and chase it with an athlete's single-minded dedication and purpose, and did not want to get on the sidelines. Thought of his crazy idea. Thought his crazy idea may work. Go back a bit here. Thought that the secret of happiness and the essence of beauty or truth lies in that pulsing half second before winning and losing are decided in a game. Wanted to enjoy working a bit earlier. I want to show you where he exactly gets the crazy idea. Here. Come here. Feels that he is a shy, pale and rain-thin kid. Thinks that he is still like a kid because he has not experienced the temptations and excitements of life. Wonders that he has never been with a girl. Remembers that back in 1962 he wanted to be successful by making his time meaningful, purposeful, creative, important, different. Thought. Though he did not know what success meant. Wanted to leave a mark on the world. Wanted to win. Did not want to lose. Saw that he wanted his life to be play. Thought the secret of happiness and essence of beauty, truth lies in... I missed a point. At one point in the first chapter, He says that all those memories are gone. All those days are gone. Everything is gone, he says. Then he puts a question. What is left? What is left with me at 24? He puts the question. If all the memories of childhood are gone, what is left? And the answer he gets is that the crazy idea is left with me. This is the point in the story. This is the point in the story where normalcy breaks. This is the point when he remembers the crazy idea. The rising action starts here. How? Once he remembers his crazy idea, he is very impatient. He is full of unrest because he says that I want to chase my crazy idea just as an athlete chases his goal. I don't want to lose it. Look how many times it is repeated. Again and again. Thought his crazy idea might work, and then thinks so much about, oh yes, I got it here. So much about those days is gone. I was talking about this point. That what remains with him at 24 is his crazy idea. So ask yourself, when you finish BBIS studies at LACM, all these friends will be gone. They won't come to your home every day, every morning. You'll be all alone. Now what remains with you? You can't come to LACM after 4 semesters. They won't let you in from the gate. They will ask you, why are you here? They will ask you, why are you here? You won't have this dress. You won't have this teacher. Everything will be gone. Now the question is, when everything is gone, what is left? Something should be left inside you that will guide you further. What is that something? The knowledge, the experience, the ideas that you learned in class. Look, he did his MBA at which college? Which university? Which university did he do his MBA? Huh? Which university?
Stanford.
Stanford, yes. I'm so forgetful. After leaving Stanford, everything is gone. One thing is remaining, the crazy idea. That's why we come to university, because universities are full of ideas, right? Now what I'm showing you, to prepare this half-page note, it took me 3 hours. It's very easy to see here. I did this yesterday here in the office, between 7 to 10. Everybody was gossiping, I was reading. And I made the notes. This is how we prepare plot summary of a story. By focusing on the verbs and then marking where the turning point comes. This is rising action, right? Okay. So, events in the story become complicated. How do you know action is rising? Things become complicated. That moment I showed you earlier, when he says, everything is gone. What remains at 24, MBA, is crazy idea. Now, the moment he talks about crazy idea, his mind is impatient. You know, we have two kinds of difficulties. One is physical difficulty outside. Somebody beats you. Somebody attacks you violently. You have physical difficulty. Somebody hurts you with words. Words. They said something. Somebody sent you a message. And that message hurt you so much, you cry inside the room. Now that is mental activity, right? Here we are talking about mental complication. That crazy idea won't let him sleep. That crazy idea won't let him rest. Then conflict is revealed. What is the conflict? Conflict is I have this crazy idea. Should I go with the crazy idea or should I not go with the crazy idea? That is the conflict. Will this crazy idea do? For example, look here is conflict. Very clearly conflict. Let me show you. Look the conflict. This is where he thoughts about his crazy idea. And look what he says. Thought his crazy idea might work. See the dilemma. Might means probability, right? Might work. Thought he would make his crazy idea work at any cost. He says, why might? No, it will work, he says. It will work. I'll make it work. Look, at this point in the story, he is 24. And if you are a good reader, what you should learn from this story? Look his growing determination. Look his growing strength. He says, no, at any cost, I will make this idea work. Do you have such determination? That's the question. If you have, you grow. Then look his conflict. He sees this, he says, oh, I can see my idea shine. I can see my idea like a place. I know Onitsuka Company, Japan, Tokyo, place. Like a person, I know crazy idea is me, crazy idea is my father, crazy idea is the people I will meet. Like some life force. Look here, the culmination. He says, oh, my crazy idea is my life force. I am alive because I have the idea. If I lose this idea, I will lose my life. Now the question is, as you read this story, ask yourself, do I have an idea at 19, 20, which is a life force for me? Or I only spend my time on a mobile phone uselessly? Ask yourself, at 19 at LSE, I'm doing BBIS second semester. Is there any idea in my mind that is forcing me to do something in life? And get an idea, right? Look here. Existing before him, separate from him, but also part of him. He says, that idea is my life. So much about, thinks so much, those days gone, thinks that what remains is crazy idea. So I was showing you, let me come back to this point. I showed you rising action, right? I showed you conflict, how conflict is revealed. These are events between the introduction and the climax. Okay, dawn is introduction, and you see one climax in the second part, 1962. Though I wish we could read the whole novel. Somebody might like to read the whole novel. There is a soft copy available. I can mail you. I have the soft copy if you want to read it. Now conflict. What is conflict? Conflict, the word conflict comes from Latin word. Conflict is when two things cannot go together. You are married, you are housewife or your wife, and now you are having differences with your husband. And every time he comes home, you quarrel. And then you decide not to stay in the same bedroom. You make a separate room for you. Now you can't go together. That's conflict. An example, right? Essential to plot. See, you cannot make a story without conflict. There are types of conflicts, but there is no story without conflict. What conflict does? Conflict is like fire that grows that develops the story, right? Plot, opposition ties incidents together and moves the plot. So, for example, in this story, conflict starts with the crazy idea. And as it says, see, essential to plot. Why this idea is essential? Because throughout the story, it is a crazy idea that he follows. For this crazy idea, he goes around the world. For this crazy idea, he goes to Japan. For this crazy idea, he talks to his father. Everything he does in these 2 chapters, he is doing for this crazy idea. So this crazy idea is at the center of all actions in this story. If he did not have this idea, we would not have this story. Do you realize? पढ्नु भएको भए बल्ल रियलाइज गर्नुहुन्छ स्टोरी। तपाईँले पढ्नु भएको छ भने फिल हुन्छ नि, मैले भनिरहँदा यु क्यान कनेक्ट। पढ्नु भएको छैन भने पण्डितले चाहिँ घरमा पुराण सुने जस्तो हुन्छ। पण्डितलाई पनि थाहा हुन्न के हो, तपाईँलाई पनि थाहा हुँदैन। I spoke Nepali because I felt hurt. Why did I feel hurt? Because I felt you haven't read the story. I felt hurt because you haven't read the story. Okay. So the crazy idea is at the center of the plot. Opposition ties incidents. Now look, his father is not sure if he can follow the crazy idea. His friend is not sure. He himself is not sure. At one point in second chapter, he confesses. He says that maybe this is a very impractical thing I am doing. He says maybe something impractical. How I can convince Japanese people to export shoes to my company? I don't have company. Many times he feels, oh, maybe I cannot do, maybe I cannot do. So conflict, let me focus on the word conflict. Conflict is, there is a person, right? Now the hero, the narrator, the protagonist, the storyteller, Phil Knight himself. Now conflict is, for example, he has the crazy idea. Should I do? Should I not do? Shall I do? Shall I not do? Will I succeed? Will I not succeed? Might it work? Might it not work? So he has conflict with the self. This is called conflict with the self. Conflict with the self. There are other conflicts, like for example, I'm traveling in my car and there is landslide at the front and one landslide at the back. I get stuck. Neither can I go ahead nor can I come back. Now this is conflict with nature. Conflict with nature. I am riding a motorcycle, there is flood. I try to cross, my motorcycle is swept away. I am also swept away. Some people save me. My bike is gone. Conflict with nature, right? Another conflict is, I fall in love with a girl. Her caste and my caste is not same. We come from different caste. Now my family finds out and they stand against this thing first. Now conflict between the person and the family. Now suppose I like the king. I like the king, Gyanendra. And I go in the demonstrations to reinstate him. And the police beats me. I am arrested. I am put in jail for 5 months for the charge of treason, Rajyadroha. Now this is conflict between me and the society. Me and the society. There are various types of conflicts, right? Here in the story, the conflict is between the protagonist and his own self. Him and his own self. Now, and as you can see, this idea, it ties all the incidents together. Whatever happens in the story, it's all connected by this crazy idea, because he follows this crazy idea. In second chapter, he goes to his father in the evening time. He tells his plan to go around the world and to go to Japan and to go to Onitsuka company and do follow his crazy idea, right? And throughout the story, he is following his crazy idea, right? Not merely limited to arguments, conflicts can be only any form of struggle the main characters face. Within a short story, there are maybe one central struggle. There may be many types of conflict. Quickly, let's see we won't discuss all. They are not all important. We'll discuss only a few. So, character versus self. This is the major conflict in this story. In this story, the major conflict is character versus self. Because he has the idea and he is 24, MBA, and now he takes his challenge. I will go around the world. I will go to every major city. I will visit, I will know the world because I want to leave a mark on the world. I'll go to Japan, I'll go to company, I'll meet CEOs, I'll talk to them, I'll propose for business, I'll do business, right? Character versus character, slightly at one point, if you see in chapter 2, when he talks about his father, he describes his father in detail. If you see, there are 5, 6, 10 paragraphs where he describes his father. And he says that his father is not an easy person. He is a very hard person. It's not easy to convince him. He is very hard. And his mother also, he says that my, not mother, grandmother, he says she is afraid of Japanese people and maybe she won't let me go to Japan. So this character versus character is also there, but very weak. This is the major conflict. Character versus nature, I don't see this thing anywhere. Character versus society, I don't see this thing because the society doesn't create any problem for him. He can do what he likes. Okay, climax now. You know, what is climax? Climax, if you suppose draw a line like this, understand climax. All stories start in a very normal way. Rarely some stories might introduce rising action at the very beginning, but normally you will see that most of the stories open with a normal situation. Nothing is wrong, there is no problem. In this story, here is the protagonist, it's morning time, he has the hobby of running early morning with his shoes, so he is running. No problem, normal thing, right? Then at one point, you will see, as I showed you earlier, somebody does something, or somebody says something, or somebody feels something. This creates agitation, this creates conflict, this creates problem. And the moment conflict occurs, then the line becomes red now, not blue. There is no peace now. And when I draw a rising line, I mean the tension is growing. By rising line, I mean the tension is growing. And this part is called complication. We call this complication. This part is called conflict. Complication means conflict grows, conflict becomes more difficult. Now, you know, if things become complicated, we know everything has an end. Everything has an end. In life, if you are suffering, don't worry. Tell yourself, it will come to an end. I have cancer, it will come to an end. I will die or I will survive. If I have cancer, either I will survive through medication or I will die. If I die, my family might cry for a day or two or a week, then things will be cool. Again, they will forget me. They will have normal life. In the story also, this climax is that point from where things change and cool down. And cool down. Climax is the point where problems stop coming. Point where situation changes. I was sick on January 25, last January. I had fever, 100.06. I went to Medicity in the emergency in the evening. They had some examinations. They admitted me. Now my conflict, health. For 4 days, they injected a lot of medicine. My situation became worse and worse. On the 4th day, I could not breathe. They said, I have serious pneumonia. And they said, I must be taken to ICU. They took me in the ICU on January 29th or 30th. And in the ICU, they kept me 5 days. Second day in the ICU, I could breathe. They kept me 5 days in the ICU, then they took me out. They kept me again 4 days outside. In about 15 days, I came home. Look, I have normal, rising, climax. ICU is my climax, where I can't breathe. Then when I can breathe, now resolution. Right? In the story also, you may disagree. If you read the story, you may disagree. But I feel like the climax is, for me, that conference room in Onitsuka Shoe Company, Japan, where he is seated at the front and others are lined up down there like this class. And the CEO, I guess, or he says, what is the name of your company? This question. What is the name of your company? When he gets this question, he has no company. He has no company. And do you know, in the chapter 1, in many places he says that life should be like a game. Like he says, I'm athlete. He says, I wanted to be world's top athlete, but I could not. I'm just a good athlete. I'm not a great athlete. Then he says, I could not be the top runner. I wanted to be the world's top runner. This is my ambition. But I could not become top runner. I was only a good runner. Then he says, how can I become top without being an athlete? Then he says, I will make my life a game. I will make my life a game. And when he says, if I can make, don't yawn down there. What's your name? Huh? Subhansu. Why are you yawning, Subhansu? It's boring, right? Because you have been listening to me for a long time. I know. And I have no option. I have no option but to speak to you because you haven't read the story. Let me ask Subhansu, have you read the story? No. Because you haven't read the story, there is no option for me. Right? And I know it's boring to listen to a teacher for 50 minutes. I too will feel yawning if my teacher speaks like this. I am not yawning because I am active. You are yawning because you are passive. I think I should devise some ways to make you active, right? Maybe I could ask you to read the story yourself and I shouldn't explain these things, right? But I've seen when you read the story, you are not able to think like this. I've seen. In past years, I've seen you're not able to analyze this way. So I present. Okay, I know. I fully realize I have no objection with you. I fully realize that it's not easy to survive in a 50-minute class listening to a teacher, right? But I hope you have this motivation and you have this attention to listen to me and understand what I'm explaining. Okay, so life is game. And now what is game? He says that in game what happens? There is a microsecond. For example, here is a goal post. Here is a penalty ball. And the player hits the ball. And then here is the goalkeeper. If he misses the ball, he will lose the World Cup. And missing or hitting is by microsecond. So whether you win or lose, whether you win or you lose, that is determined in seconds. What is the point? Point is, you should be ready for the second also. You should be so sharp. You should be so sharp in life that you should catch things within seconds. I repeat, you should be so sharp in life, so intelligent in life, so quick-minded in life, that you should catch things within microsecond. And he proves that. When he gets the question, what is the company of your name? He has no company. But within a microsecond, he says, the name of my company is the Blue Ribbon Company. Maybe he says Blue Ribbon Shoe Company, maybe. He was telling a lie. He was telling a lie. When he gave this answer, he had no company. But the point for us to understand is that if he had delayed, if he had hesitated, they will doubt him and they will reject him. He plays the game. How? by answering within a microsecond. Have you seen there are times in life when you are not supposed to show hesitation? I remember I passed my grade 12 and came to university. I filled the form for admission. There was entrance exam. I took the exam. Then there was interview. And in the interview, the teachers who were interviewing, they asked a question. They saw my credentials and they said, "Oh, you studied Sanskrit in high school?" "Yes." He said, "Okay, in Hindi, tell me the meaning of your name in Sanskrit. Then you will get admission, otherwise, no." Look, this point. Thank God my father had explained me. Yaha karoti divasa sa divakara. The one who makes the day is Divakar. And I said, and he signed, okay, I got admission. Otherwise, I'll be rejected. I won't be able to join BA. I won't be able to come here like you, like this, right? In life, there are moments when you have to take decision. That's the point. What we are learning here. In life, there will come moments when you must take a decision. Okay, climax. Now, I call this climax because after this, he is no more agitated. He asks his father to send $50 order. His father helps him. And then after this, he is relaxed. He is relaxed. He goes around the world. If you see this story, he goes around many countries. He goes to Italy, Milan. He goes to Germany, he goes to Egypt, he goes to India, he comes to Nepal, he goes to Indrachok in Nepal, Kathmandu, he goes to Athens, Greece. He goes around the world, all 7 continents. And in every city, he learns something for his life. Why should you travel? Because Francis Bacon said, traveling is best education. Traveling is best education. He goes to Athens, Greece. And in Athens, he visits a temple. He visits the temple of the goddess Nike. Nike is a goddess. There is a temple. And in that temple of Nike, Nike is goddess of victory. She is goddess of persuasion. She is goddess of motivation, victory. And in that temple, there are carvings, stone carvings. In one carving, a lady is sitting on a chair and she is bending down. The beautiful lady is bending down to tie the shoelaces. She is wearing sandal and she is bending down to tie the shoelaces. Beautiful carving. And he gets inspired because shoes are there. Have you seen throughout the story? Shoes are at the center of his mind. Shoes are at the center. He is wearing shoes as a runner. In many places, if you see, he talks about shoes. And then he is so inspired, he decides that I will name my company from this goddess, Nike. And he names his shoe company as the Nike Shoe Company. Why? Because he thinks this is the goddess of victory and I'll be successful in my venture. Right? Okay, climax, turning point in the story I showed you. Readers wonder what will happen next. Here, this question, what is the name of your company? Now we know, will he answer? Will he not answer? He has no company. Right? Will the conflict be resolved or not? It got resolved. Consider the climax as a threefold phenomenon. Main character receives new information. What is information? What is the name of your company? Main character accepts this information. He accepts. Realizes it but does not necessarily agree with it. He has no company. He has no company. Main character acts on this information, on this question. Makes a choice that will determine. Makes a choice. I will answer this question. I will not be silent. I will answer. Determine whether or not objective is met. If I answer the question, my crazy idea will be implemented. If I can't answer the question, I'll fail. Then he answers the question and his idea is implemented. This is climax, right? Move ahead. Falling action. If you see in the story, the moment, the scene where this happens, he answers the question. He comes out of the office after ordering and he has a question. What should I do now? Should I go home? He puts a question. Then he says, no. I should go around the world. He is relaxed now. And then he goes around the world, this following action. Resolution begins. His crazy idea has worked. Events and complications start to fall into place. Now he is not agitated. He is very relaxed. He is very fine, feeling very good. These are the events between climax and denouement. What is denouement? Denouement is the end of the story. Denouement is the point where every problem is solved. For example, let me take you the exact denouement and show you. Here is the denouement. I'll show you the denouement. Here is the point. Denouement. Just a minute. Yes, denouement. See the last line of the story, Dawn. He has come home. February 24, 1963, my 25th birthday. Right? I walked through the door on Claiborne Street, hair to my shoulders, long hair, 1 year. He has gone around the world. He has not mended his hair, trimmed his hair. Beard 3 inches long. My mother let out a cry. My sisters blinked as if they did not recognize me, or else hadn't realized I had been gone. Hugs, shouts, bursts of laughter. My mother made me sit, poured me a cup of coffee. She wanted to hear everything, but I was exhausted. I set my suitcase and backpack in the hall and went to my room. I started blearily at my blue ribbons. Look, this is the name he gave to his company, right? This is how the story gets tied. The word blue ribbons comes in chapter 1, Dawn, page 1 or 2. And the word blue ribbon comes at the end of the story here. Mr. Knight, what is the name of your company? That question remembers. I curled up on the bed and sleep came down like a curtain. Before this, he never could sleep. See the denouement. See the following action. At La Scala, an hour later, I woke up to my mother's calling out dinner. My father was home from work and he remembered me as I came into the dining room. He too wanted to hear every detail and I wanted to tell him. But first I wanted to know one thing. Last line of chapter 2. Dad, I said, did my shoes come? We don't know whether they came. We'll know in the next chapter, which is not in our course. But this is how the story ends. I'll stop here. Tomorrow, I will talk about Atari in India. And now your job is, you bring such summary of Atari in India. And if you are without this summary, I'll keep you out of the class. And your summary will have exact number of sentences, as many paragraphs are there. If the story Atari in India has 100 paragraphs, your summary will not have 99, not 101, it will have only 100 sentences. You will summarize each paragraph in a single sentence. You can do less than that, a single word, single phrase. If there are 100 paragraphs, you will have 100 sentences. And I too will come with such a summary. If I fail to show my summary like this, I'll go out of class. I won't continue. You can expel me. That's my promise. I'll do, you too will do. Thank you.